In this video, we're going to demonstrate just how easy it is for phishing attacks to steal a user's credentials and the authenticated session cookie, even with MFA in place. We're also going to demonstrate how you protect yourself against it. Let's set the scene here. So we have Alice, who works in a business that operates largely in the cloud. She has an Office 365 account and she has responsible roles and group memberships that look after the Azure services within her company. She uses a very secure password, 128 characters long, and she's configured push-based multifactor authentication using Microsoft's Authenticator app on a company mobile phone to secure her access. However, having MFA in place with a secure password doesn't necessarily mean her account is entirely safe from adversary attacks or man-in-the-middle phishing attacks, and we're going to show you how. Mallory, a not-so-friendly user, has set up a phishing domain to look very similar to Alice's company domain. Here we see Mallory's desktop and his phishing service running and set up at the bottom, waiting. If Mallory was to try and log in Microsoft Azure right now, he'd get prompted for the login credentials as per usual. He's not got any saved credentials or any session saved. In fact, this is a completely fresh and clean browser setup. The only thing he has installed is a simple browser extension, which we will get to see him use later. Below, Mallory has crafted a special phishing URL, which he is going to send to Alice in order for her to click on. It's disguised as a link to look related to her company's domain, and it would typically be supported by some socially engineered context behind receiving and a reason to click on it. Let's now switch to Alice's view to see what happens when she visits the link. We're assuming here this isn't blocked by email security and has reached Alice's inbox. Let's see what happens. Here you can see Alice's desktop and Mallory's phishing service visible at the bottom. And you can also see what happens within that box when she clicks on the link. She clicks on the link that she's been sent and eventually requested to log in. As you can see, Mallory's phishing service already started to collect some information. She enters her username and sees the regular company branding and has nothing to suspect at this time. So far, everything appears to look legitimate from the URL. Maybe the URL itself will have incited some form of suspicion, but she goes ahead and she enters her password and she is prompted for an MFA as expected. Everything appears to follow process up until now. As you can see at this point, if we look further down the screen in Mallory's phishing server, it's slowly collecting information about the login session, having now captured both her username and her password. A push notification is sent to her phone and she enters the 2-digit code she's requested to verify and continues to log in as usual. Mallory's phishing server continues and has now successfully captured the login session information, which was sent to Alice from Microsoft Entra's ID and authentication app. Alice can carry on as usual. The phishing URL may end up taking her to a document or some service within Microsoft, and she may carry on as usual as if nothing has been suspicious or suspected. Meanwhile, Mallory has everything he needs to do to log in as Alice. Let's switch back to his desktop. In the bottom of Mallory's phishing log server, you can see here that Alice's session has been successfully captured. This is time sensitive now. Mallory will grab the session cookie that's been authenticated, that was captured when Alice logged in, and insert that into his own browser. Using the browser extension we mentioned earlier, let's see what happens when he does this. Remember, it is time sensitive. He's not logged in as Alice previously or into this Microsoft tenant and has no valid sessions in his browser as we showed earlier. We take the authenticated session cookie and inject it into the new browser session. We go to the Azure portal And we can now see that Mallory has immediately logged in and impersonated Alice and has not been prompted for her credentials and has bypassed any MFA prompts normally expected, as the session cookie we've just used is valid and fresh. Mallory can now do whatever he wants, impersonating as Alice in Azure, or he could switch to Outlook and use her credentials to open up emails or SharePoint, or view any files that she has access to, if he so wishes. It should be noted at this point that there are a number of methods of detecting this type of attack and even preventing it from happening in the first place. All of this depends on how the security of your estate is configured. But it's also worth knowing that these types of attacks aren't limited just to cloud providers such as Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. Many online retail technology and financial services like this with multi-factor authentication can be exploited using the same types of attack. But before we move away from this scenario, remember at the beginning of the demo, we said that there were different types of MFA methods, and some of these offer different levels of protection. We also said we'd demonstrate how to protect against it. Phishing resistant methods using web authentication, such as FIDO2, for example, is one such MFA method which is resistant to this type of attack. Let's see the same scenario again. If Alice has used a different MFA method, and we'll see if Mallory has the same level of success. But for the purposes of this demo, we've got another user pre-set up called Bob, who happens to work alongside Alice to have the same access into the Azure tenant and the same roles and responsibilities. But he has previously been set up with a FIDO2 key as his MFA method. Let's see what happens when Bob goes to the same link that Alice was sent by Mallory. Here we are now on Bob's machine and we will try to log in. Again, the phishing server detects the new session has been started in the bottom of Mallory's screen. Bob attempts to sign in using his credentials. Notice that he is not prompted for a password, but to use his security key. He unlocks his security key. And upon doing so, the key pair verification, you can see that the site is requesting the authentication from is not the same site that was originally used when setting up the FIDO2 method at the start. His FIDO2 key is unable to find the matching pair that can be used, so none can be offered up with to log in. Looking at Mallory's phishing server at the bottom there, you can see a very different output is captured from the one we saw with Alice. Not even Bob's username is exposed. This level of MFA prevents Bob from falling victim to this type of phishing attack. Windows Hello for Business, a certificate-based authentication, can also be used equally to protect in this way. As you can see, having MFA enabled does not necessarily mean that you or your users are fully secure. Different multi-factor authentication technologies provide different levels of security, and targeted phishing attacks can often look legitimate, with business email compromise being a common attack vector used by hackers and malicious individuals. Phishing URLs can easily be configured to temporarily lay dormant and redirect to legitimate URLs whilst a phishing campaign is started. Emails that are delivered or scanned by a phishing URL detonation service or mail gateway security service are successfully delivered to recipients' mailboxes and pass all of the relevant checks, fooling the systems in the process. These phishing URLs then become active a short while after, once the email has had time to reach the user's mailbox. These attack toolkits have existed since before 2020, and hackers have had plenty of time to refine these and understand the underlying email security technologies and how they perform in more detail. It's important to make sure, therefore, that your security and cyber defenses are configured to protect against these types of attacks. Preventing and proactive response is always better than a reactive response. If you're interested in knowing more about these types of attacks, zero trust security, and how to protect yourself against other types of threats, come and speak to a CloudGuard Guardian today. Thank you.